Just imagine, for a second, a single structure so massive it lights up two entire nations. Well, that's the Itaipu Dam, a true engineering marvel that's taming the mighty Paraná River right on the border of Brazil and Paraguay. Okay, let's try to wrap our heads around this thing. To build it, they used 12.3 million cubic meters of concrete. It's a number that's almost impossible to picture. So think of it this way. That's enough material to build 380 replicas of the Eiffel Tower. Just incredible. So in this explainer, we're going to dig into exactly why the American Society of Civil Engineers gave it that prestigious title. We'll get into its history, its absolutely mind-boggling power, and as you'll see, its very complex legacy. So how in the world did a project this monumental even get off the ground? Well, it didn't start with concrete. It actually started with diplomacy. That paved the way for a construction project that would take nearly a decade and literally reshape the continent. What's so wild when you look at this timeline is that it maps out the journey from a peace treaty to a world-renowned engineering feat in less than 30 years. I mean, this was so much more than just building a dam. It was about forging a partnership, getting a workforce of 40,000 people on site, and, oh yeah, permanently rerouting the seventh largest river in the world. Now, a key innovation that made this all possible was the decision to build a hollow gravity dam. And this is a brilliant example of how smart engineering made a colossal project like this actually affordable. By going with a hollow design, they saved an enormous amount of concrete. We're talking 35% less, which slashed costs and, probably saved the whole binational agreement. All right, let's fast forward to today and see how this dam's incredible power output has become the absolute lifeblood for two national economies. This chart really puts it all into perspective. I mean, look at that. For Paraguay, Itaipu isn't just a power source, it's practically the power source, supplying nearly 90% of all the electricity the country uses. And for a huge economy like Brazil, it still provides a critical 15% of its power. That's huge. Now, here's a really interesting point. A lot of people hear about China's Three Gorges Dam and think it's the biggest, period. And on paper, its capacity is larger. But here's the twist. Itaipu often generates more energy over the course of a year. So why is that? It's because the Paraná River has this incredibly steady, powerful flow all year round, unlike the very seasonal Yangtze. That makes Itaipu a much more reliable and efficient workhorse. But there's a technical catch. Paraguay and Brazil, well, their electrical grids run on different frequencies. They're just not compatible. The solution was to build a massive conversion system. But this technical fix is also a geopolitical one, because it basically locks Paraguay into selling its huge energy surplus directly and exclusively to Brazil. So for 50 years, the entire financial story of this dam was dominated by the massive construction debt, which Brazil had guaranteed. But that all changed very recently. Just like that, in 2023, that enormous debt was finally gone, paid in full. And with the mortgage paid off, over 60% of the dam's operating cost just vanished overnight. And that triggered a major power shift in the relationship between the two countries. And that leads to this one, simple question that is now at the heart of some very high-stakes renegotiations of the treaty's financial rules, a section known as Annex C. And this is where the real drama is. On one side, you have Paraguay, which sees this as a historic chance to finally cash in on its biggest natural resource, a move that could totally transform its national economy. On the other side, Brazil wants to keep that cheap, reliable power flowing. The stakes are so incredibly high that negotiations have gotten really tense. But, the story of Itaipu isn't just about megawatts and money. The dam has a really profound and very complicated social and environmental footprint. From a climate perspective, and this might surprise you, Itaipu is actually a huge success story. The huge area of Atlantic forest that's protected around the reservoir acts as a massive carbon sink. It actually makes the whole project a net positive for the climate. But that achievement comes with a profound human cost. When they filled the reservoir, it flooded the ancestral lands of the Ava Guarani people. And what makes it even worse is that official stories at the time often just denied they were ever there, creating what activists call a constructed non-existence. This isn't just some unique tragedy. It's a painful pattern we see in mega projects all over the world, where the story of progress often means erasing the people who were there first.
Even today, many Ava Guarani communities are still fighting for their legal rights. They're living on these small strips of land, squeezed between the reservoir and big agriculture, just struggling to reclaim their tekoha, which isn't just land, it's the physical and spiritual space they need for their entire way of life.
And that right there, that is the central paradox of Itaipu, isn't it? On the one hand, it's this celebrated symbol of clean energy and international cooperation, but on the other, it's a source of deep, unresolved social wounds and permanent ecological loss, like the complete submersion of the legendary Guayar Falls. So, from a concrete wall on a river to an engine for entire nations, the story of Itaipu has this deeply unsettled legacy. And it really reminds us that true progress has to be measured in more than just megawatts.